Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lucky Book Publishing's podcast. I'm your host, Samantha, and I'm here with my co founder and biz bestie, Samar. Today, we are beyond excited to dive into a topic that so many of you, our listeners, have been asking about. So, how do you take a book to reality? I've got this book idea, I don't know what to do with it. And how can you do that all in 4 weeks? Well, we're thrilled to take you behind the scenes, behind the curtain to one of our most popular courses, From Idea to Bestseller: How to Write and Publish Your Book in 4 Weeks. So, this course is designed to help entrepreneurs and aspiring authors actually get it done. That's right, get it published, get it off your laptop. It is time to bring your big ideas to the world and turn your ideas from your mind into a manuscript and a published book for the world to read and enjoy. So I just love this topic so much, and I'm just ready to go.
I love this, Samantha, so much. We're super excited. We've been talking about this course idea for a while now. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going you through the 4-week program and diving in how can we help people go from idea to writing, publishing, and marketing their book. So we're here to help you fast track your writing and publishing journey so that it's not just a dream. It's time for you to see your name on a book cover, right? So I'm super excited to dive in. So let's jump right into it.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's get into what is the inspiration behind that four-week course?
Well, we've tested this out. It is backed by science because real people have actually gone through it. So if you're sitting there and being like, oh my goodness, I can't imagine, how could I possibly write a book in 4 weeks? You absolutely can. The first time I wrote our first book, I did it in 14 days. I actually wrote, published, and marketed and launched a book in 14 days. So if I can do it, you can do it. I'd never done it before. So we work a lot with our VIP clients. So we've had over 20 people that we've worked one-on-one on and created a lot of amazing bestseller books. So we've taken the best of the best and we're like, there's a system to follow and it's really super clear. I think the most important thing is like you need someone who's done it before. Success leaves clues. So that's where we come in. And this course is literally like all of our secrets, taking you behind the curtain. What is it that book publishers know that myself as an entrepreneur or first time writer doesn't know? So it's time to match make together and bring it out. And number one, it's accessible. So, I mean, there's only 2 of us here. There's only so many people we can work with VIP, but we can really make this accessible and help a lot more people with a 4-week course. So this is really for you if you've been thinking about this, but you've been procrastinating and, it's equivalent to taking like 1 credit course at a college, but you're leaving with like a beautiful book. That's something that you can be so proud of and, just get your ideas out in the world.
I love this, Samantha, so much. We're super excited. Tell me more about what is the difference? Like, how is this self-publishing course different from any other course out there? So if there's anybody wondering, thinking about it, maybe they've seen an ad for another course. Like, how does Lucky Book Publishing make it so super special?
I love that. Well, number one, there's only 1 course like this from Lucky Book Publishing. And I have to say, I am super proud of the publishing house that we've created. Like, it's been built with a lot of heart. It's been built, tried, tested, and true. Yes, the reality is you can go on YouTube right now and figure out how to write and publish a book, but you'll be doing it by yourself. And what we found is that, it's a lot more fun doing it together. Myself too, as a publisher. I mean, the reason why I got into this business is because like I wanted to work with other people. Like there's energy when you all come together in a community. So what's really cool about our 4-week course is not only a lot of these courses are 100% digital, like you press pay and then you go through the modules and you kind of have to keep yourself motivated by yourself. Well, I've bought in a lot of those courses too, and I'll be honest, like they're still sitting in my Google Drive. I never got to them. I think there's really a power and accountability when you say, okay, I'm starting it together with a class. This 4-week course happens multiple times a year, so it's really easy to like join a cohort together, and it's going to become like an Insta family. Like you're gonna see for yourself, like, the Lucky Book family is real, and it's so exciting because there's other people going through it too. So if you actually really, really want to get this done, you want to be doing it together with us. I mean, we're professional book publishers. You're gonna get to meet other authors who've been through it. I've got a stack of books of real life people who've done it too, and I think that that's really one of the differentiating factors. I'm a people person, and I'm sure a lot of people like you are. Hey, if you just want the online course, great. You can do it at your own pace too. But I just want you to know that this is probably where we stand out the most, is because you'll be doing it live in a community. And every single week, you're going to have access to us in terms of like bringing your questions. And even after the 4-week course, like we continue building that community. So it's a lot of fun.
I love this so much. And I'm going to add to that the fact that we put each other, like you're going to be accountable. So again, doing it part of a community, it's all about the energy, but also partnering you up with the right partner to make sure your book gets published. And I think that's our success rate from the first cohort that we did.
I love it.
Is that, because we put them together, we put the authors together, they finished their book because they were accountable for each other.
And I'm always accountable to you. Like, I really believe in the buddy system. And you're right. Like, imagine that you're really going to be paired up and have that accountability buddy. That's truly priceless.
It is priceless for sure. Okay, so let's dive into it. Can you walk us through what participants can expect to accomplish each week during that 4-week program?
Okay, let's get through this. So this is for anyone who's writing a book. This is exactly what you're going to be going through. So we're going to be going through it right with you. So week 1 is all about creating a high quality book outline.
Yes.
Like, you cannot write a book if you don't know what you're going to write about. So I've taught this class like dozens and dozens of times. It's like my signature 90-minute book outline class. It is so rewarding to see people like put up their sheets live on Zoom and be like, these are all of my ideas. So I walk them through like basically a blueprint that has been tried, tested, and true on like, okay, this is going to be what my book is about. Because here's the thing, if you don't have a good book outline, you're not going to finish writing your book. Okay, so on those days where you don't feel motivated, you could be like, hey, I've got this book outline. All I need to do is follow it. So step 1, week 1, is creating that framework of a high quality book. So we're going to walk you through what your introduction, what your conclusion, and all those chapters are going to be looking for. Okay. Number 2, the reality is you do judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's also really cool about Lucky Book Publishing and Samantha and Samar is that we come from a marketing background. So event planning, publicists, digital marketers. So we understand like what it takes to make like a gorgeous book cover. And the reality is you only have 5 seconds in front of your audience. Okay. So in 5 seconds, they're going to have to know like, what is this book about? And they're going to basically figure out if they're going to buy it or not. So this is one of our favorite classes because this is when it starts to get real. So we start figuring out, we look at the industry, figure out like, what should your book cover look like? Yeah. I'm going to give you a little hack right now. Like, our first book was on Airbnb investing. Yeah. Samar and I wrote that. Every single cover in this industry was black and blue. So we're like, all right, we're going white. We wanted to like stand out in that little stamp of a spot that you get on Amazon on the book pages, right? So this isn't just about putting together a pretty cover. There's strategy behind it. There's a strategy behind like, what should your book title have in it? What is a good title? What is a good subtitle? So all of that happens in week 2. Week number 3, building your personal brand. The reality
Absolute favorite.
Yeah, this is Samar's favorite. The reality is you could be the best writer in the world, but if you are a best kept secret, no one's going to find your book.
No.
And for us, this is really, really important. For us, it's not just about hitting the bestseller list when you launch, because that happens over and over again with our clients, which is amazing. It's about the longevity for your book. We want your book to go beyond the 150 books, which is an average sale of a first-time author, okay? Like, we want you to be like a Guy Kawasaki or a Chicken Soup for the Soul, millions of copies sold, bestseller list for 20 plus years. Like, build that momentum, you know? So if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, far go together. Lucky Book Publishing is here to help you go far. So I love this space. I know it might feel a little nervous, like, oh my goodness, like, how do I build a personal brand? It's okay. Some of our authors, they're like well-known executives, doctors, they have a personal brand, and some people are just starting from scratch. So no matter where you're at in the journey, we're going to help you, but it's very important that you build your audience and you have fun doing that. And then, of course, week 4, bringing it all to life. Okay, so now you've written your book, you've got a gorgeous cover, we've taken care of all the quality assurance in terms of like, the book and all the details. It's time to launch it. So all the tech, all the back end, don't worry if this is your first time. We've got amazing instruction sheets. We've got an amazing community who's going to help you, and you're going to self-publish your book. You're going to be alongside huge names like Stephen King and others who self-publish their books along with like traditional publishers. So it's a very, very exciting time for you. And this is really like our goal is to bring it to life. So I want you to know that, here's some examples of some books. They don't have to be super big. I mean, when Sasha wrote her first book, it was 50 pages. Manelli wrote this book, You Got This, Mom. This is one of her 20 plus topics that she talks about with her client. She's got over 25 years experience. Terry brought together a course that she's been teaching for over 10 years. She put it in a book. And then Shelley, she's like, hey, if only my grandkids read this book, like, I'm good. Well, guess what? Like, Shelley has surpassed that and sold hundreds of books, hit the multiple bestsellers. We'll talk about her a little later. So it's so exciting to see people really like not only take the course, but get published.
All right, that was a lot of helpful info, Samantha. I love it so much. And let's talk about more, who's the ideal participant for this course? What stage of the writing or publishing journey they should be at?
So, Samara, they say like 8 out of 10 people have a book idea inside of them. So that's like the majority of the world. I mean, how many people actually put it to life? Not that many, unfortunately. And, I just want you to, like, in my heart, and I think for both Samara and I, when we first were reading books as kids, I don't think it ever crossed our minds that one day we would be an author, let alone a publishing house, So I want you to know that if you can believe it, you can achieve it. And it really is for everyone. There's 2 archetypes I typically see, like when I think about the authors in our community. So there's just like the enthusiast. They have an idea in their heart. It's a passion project for them. As Shelley said, she's like, hey, if only my grandkids read my book, I'm good. Shelley, worked for local fitness studio. She wasn't an entrepreneur, but she loved fitness. She loved sharing well-being. So for her, she's like, I'm just writing from my heart. Like, this is just stuff I do every day. So she didn't really it didn't really have like a business or anything behind it. But then there's people like Terry Kingston and many people like this is a huge lead generation for Terry. She's a professional public speaking coach. So that's a very competitive market. Now that she has a book, and not only that, she niches in the TEDx world. She helps people, do their applications, land their first TEDx talk. This book has been so instrumental to her business. She is standing out. She's been able to book more clients. Like for her, this has been like just such a game changer. And just the ease of actually her teaching her course now, she can just scale it in so much of a bigger way because she's like, oh, it's all written in my book already, right? So I think it's kind of like, sometimes you might think it's just a passion project, but guess what happens like when you work at Lucky Book Publishing? Like you realize that, I'm an impact maker. Like this is more than just like, I don't want to be just that self-published girl who like sells like just to her family and friends. Like I've got a bigger dream here. And I think like I love Shelley's story because that's exactly what happened to her. At 64 years young, she came to us and she wrote her first book. And then right away it became like one of the most gifted books on Amazon. She ended up putting it in her local public library. The library ordered over 12 other books. There's over 40 holds on it. It's in hospital bookstores across her city. It sells out. She refills all the time. It's in yoga studios. Like the impact this woman is making with her book is just truly extraordinary. And the amount of people that she's referred us to, like other people that are like, hey, wow, Shelley can do it. Like I can do it too. And, congratulations, Shelley. Not only does she have a book now, she has her own business and personal brand, fitnesswithshell.com. So, from her time of working with us, sure, she thought this was just a passion project. But then as she continued to work with us, she realizes, hey, like there's so much more than that. So, I love stories like this. the successes will vary depending on your commitment, but all I can say is like we're here for it and we're here to help you grow.
I love it. I absolutely love Shelley's story on how she came to us. She didn't have even like the business idea. She just wanted to write a short book, again, as you said, for her grandchildren to read and for
Yes.
her to leave a legacy. And from there, bit by bit, she started building on it. And now she has a website and she has a whole business around her book. And this is the power of building a personal brand, right? You start with a book. Maybe you're coming to Lucky Book Publishing to publish a 5K book, but you're leaving with a whole personal brand and a business built around it. And that's the beauty of, putting, your words and your content and your manuscript and publishing it into the world.
Absolutely. And the reality is, most publishers do not do this.
Yes.
Publishers are in the business to publish your book.
Yeah.
Hi, give me your manuscript. Let me review it. I'll get it out. If they accept you, you get it out, and that's it. So we're in the hybrid publishing world, and like this is our secret sauce. So, clients come to us all the time. They're like, oh, wow, like you've really figured this out. I'm like, yeah, because, for over 20 years, I was in the event planning world. I help so many people launch their books, some of them with like the big 5 publishers and stuff like that. The reality is, most people, you publish, you launch, and then it's crickets. Like they have no momentum. They have no idea what to do afterwards. So when you and I built this company, we're like, no, that's no fun.
That's no fun at all.
Yeah. Like if we had built a company like that, like where would Shelly be right now? Like she would have just launched and then it would go crickets. Like, but look at her a year later. She's onto her second book. She's about to do a billboard in Times Square, speaking engagements internationally. She's built, a private coaching business for personal training. Like incredible. Like find me another publishing house that's going to help like bring you along in that journey. And it's because we're intrinsically motivated to your success. Like your success is tied to our success. And it's just like, this is what we want to do. We want to build your impact. A book is just like your business card to a billboard to help more people. All of our authors are typically like nonfiction. They're focusing on memoirs. Even if you're a fiction book or children's book, it still follows the same formula. But you have to have that desire to be like, I'm passionate about my book. I want to bring this out to the world. I don't want just like my neighbors and my family to buy this book.
All right. I love this so much. So one of the things that we hear over and over again is like, for an aspiring author is getting started, right? How does this workshop help participants overcome imposter syndrome of like, I'm not good enough, the fear of beginning, or the myth of not being a writer? And that's a big one that we've seen like multiple times. So talk to us more about that.
Oh, imposter syndrome, so real. Let's be real. It never goes away. Like self-doubt creeps up on us. It could be like every day, multiple times a day. So I just want to let you know it's completely normal. Everybody goes through it. I remember Oprah saying, she's like, from presidents to the biggest celebrities in the world, after every interview, they would look at her and say, was that all right? Did I do okay? We're all looking for that confirmation that, we deserve to tell our story. So I just want to begin with just that like we're all in it together. Imposter syndrome is going to creep up. That's why, once again, doing a course and not having kind of anyone to be around you, like not have a community, it's going to kind of creep up and it might actually slow down your process.
Absolutely.
So at Lucky Book Publishing, we get it. We focus on mindset each and every week. You'll hear me say this over and over again. Whatever the mind can believe, the mind can achieve. Whatever the mind can believe, the mind can achieve. So I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to believe, yes, I am a writer. Yes, I have a message to say. Yes, my voice matters. Representation matters. Okay. So for me, like this is very, very important. And I just want to tell you that it's something that we work on a consistent basis with our authors. And guess what? New level, new devil. So the more you become successful, the more you're going to need to sharpen up that mindset again. So I just want you to know that this is a journey, and I don't want you to think it'll ever go away, or that it's a yucky feeling. I think it's part of our human experience to have imposter syndrome, but like we're here for it, and we're here to like really be your ultimate cheerleader to help you get through that, so it doesn't stop you from actually publishing your book.
I love it so much. And yeah, that mindset is definitely something that we need to keep on working, right? Like working on. Publishing a book can be very overwhelming, And I know that for a fact because I'm doing all the work, that the back end, right, to get the book out there to the world. So how can this course, how can this workshop break down the process to make it more manageable within 4-week timeline?
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, we published our first book in 14 days. So we're basically taking you through the science and the data of how we did it. So I've already gone through what you're going to do in 4 weeks. Okay. So first, you're going to focus on just writing the book. And I'll be honest, in this course, you should just write something that's like really passionate for you. Okay. So all of these books were little starter books because they were just already in people's hearts and minds. So, don't write about something that you have to start researching like from scratch right from the beginning. Okay. So write something that you're already really good at and you're already very knowledgeable about. So, once you figure out that you're going to be like writing and everything's going to be like really, you're going to follow our book outline and our instructions. I think that's the number one thing. Like, don't go off course. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a system for writing. We've got a system for the book cover. We have a system on how you're going to make sure that your book is high quality, well written, no errors, professional looking. Okay. So follow the steps. Okay. And during all of that, don't be a best kept secret. Okay. Share with people your journey. Get people excited to consume your book or like look forward to your book. Okay. So I just want to say that this is really, there are steps. There is an author journey. So we're going to be taking you through that cycle together. So there's going to be live classes, and then there's going to be videos, and there's going to be handouts, and then there's going to be office hours. So really, it's a foolproof plan of learning, applying it, and asking your questions. And this is just going to continue going. And if you need more than 4 weeks, that's perfectly fine because every week we meet together, you have a chance to answer your questions. So it's really accessible. And like I said, there's lots of books that famous people like Stephen King or Elizabeth Gilbert wrote that nobody ever read. So I don't want you to put too much pressure on yourself. I just want you to get started and see where this goes because it will build into a momentum. And there's more to it than just writing the book. And we're going to show you about all of that.
I love it so much. I love that you said, don't keep your book a best kept secret. And one example of that is one of our authors, Charles. So Charles was able to, we wanted to vote on his cover and he took it to LinkedIn. And maybe like a day after, it went viral. It literally went viral with more like 64 comments, people fighting which one is the best cover, right? So this is part of the strategy of, making sure people know that you're writing a book, right? Before it's even published.
Exactly. It's so fun to get your community involved. And I love that. And not only like, he's like, oh my God, he's like, I was so overwhelmed by this. He's like, it was on LinkedIn and then people were going on my Facebook and going on my Instagram. And then they were personally emailing me and telling me what they thought. So isn't that amazing? Like when you start getting people involved. So you're right. Like there's a whole ecosystem of, getting a book out there. And it's just so much fun because probably things that we've talked about today, like these aren't things that you've ever thought about before. And you're like, oh, wow. And it's just like success leaves clues. Like you don't need to do this by yourself.
I love it so much. Okay, let's talk about specific tools, templates, resources do participants like get access to during the course. So if you want to walk them through that would be amazing.
Amazing. So like I said, it's a 4-week course. Every week you are getting a live class, you're getting a video, and you're getting instructions on what you need to do to complete your work that week. That is it. Okay. So you're going to show up for the class. You are going to do the homework, and then you're going to show up for the office hours, and you're going to ask your questions. So this is not super difficult. It's a 3-step process week after week. We've got the videos, we've got the handouts. It is a super smooth system. We've done this dozens and dozens of times before, and it's gotten a lot of authors a published book.
I love it so much. And now to my favorite part, can you share some success stories? Let's talk about all the amazing books you have in front of you here. How did the authors go from just an idea, coming to us just with an idea, to becoming a bestseller?
Okay, I love that. All right, so we've already talked about Shelley, and I'm just so excited because this book, and from her talking to her audience, which I always say typically happens, she's writing her second book on In Search of Longevity, and it's coming out very, very soon. So I always say, get your first book out, get it out on a topic that's really accessible and easy for you, and then let your audience kind of have those conversations with your audience, like do those focus testing. They're going to help you figure out what they need next. So I can't wait for her next book book on longevity. Okay, so I already talked about Terry. I mean, Terry's growing her professional coaching business, thanks to this book. It's definitely like her business card into more speaking engagements. I mean, Terry, she says she wants to get out there on more bigger stages and she wants to speak. So imagine she's going to speak from the stage and then people will have a chance to, get her book afterwards. Like, this is really,
And I
truly
just want to add to
insane.
that I'm actually working with Terry and it's been going amazing. One of my 2025 goals is to be doing more public speaking, and Terry is helping me accomplish that.
I love that. I love that so much. That's so good. Okay, so Manelli is an amazing Reiki master. This was her first book, and she particularly chose motherhood as her first book because she's just kind of like, of my hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years, a lot of them were mothers, and she really wanted to share her personal story of coming from India to Canada and like how difficult that was, like leaving her child behind for the first few years to like get started in a new country. And this whole mantra, you got this, mom, like she's done some amazing launches around Mother's Day and holidays, and really have helped a lot of mothers around the world. Sasha, so proud of you, Sasha. I mean, you came to Canada from Jamaica and you've had to, move multiple cities across Canada. This is a real life story about something that a lot of people don't talk about, like talk about when you lose your job and what happens during that time. It's a very lonely time. Sometimes you feel super self-conscious. This book, Finding Your Network, has helped so many people just realize like, hey, like you got this, like you're going to get through it. And she shares her personal story of how she created a network from scratch in a brand new country. So truly inspirational. So who's James Bett? Well, James Bett is actually our pen name. So when Samara and I were testing out the whole publishing business, we wanted to show people that even if you have zero friends or zero followers, like you can still build a brand from scratch. You can still help a lot of people. So many people don't know, but like Samara and I are super passionate about real estate and Airbnb, and we've had Airbnbs, we've used them a lot over the years. So we wrote a book on Airbnb investing, and guess what? James Bett became a #1 bestseller. He was next to Guy Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad's book. Like that's when we knew, like, okay, we're onto something here.
It's mind blowing.
It is.
Yeah.
So love that we did this, because I think this is pretty much like a huge testament of like, if James Bett can't even exist and be a bestseller, and he has a lead generation in this book, and he builds his email list, and he gives away, extra resources and templates to his readers, like this just goes to show that like anybody can do it. Okay. Super proud of Darpen and Kathy. I'll never forget the story. Like, Kathy is a registered holistic nutritionist, and she said to me, she's like, there was a day when I put my book in a fellow doctor's hand, and she came back to me afterwards and said, wow, Kathy, I have never read anything like this before. Like, this is truly phenomenal work. You are so gifted. I want you to come work with me. I want you to come work with my clients. She's just like, Sam, if I didn't have this book, like this book literally changed the trajectory of my life and my practice, because her life's work, her amazing research has now been bundled into a book, and it gives her credibility, and it literally changed the face of her practice. So super proud of Kathy. And they've written a second book. I mean, menopause and perimenopause is such a hot topic right now. So SOS for Your Hormonal Hot Mess is their second book. So we're loving that not only are authors writing first books, they're on to their second and third books. And, thank you so much for choosing Lucky Book to do that. Michelle Uyghur. Oh, Michelle, when we first started our company, she was on my top 10 list. I saw her speak many years ago, and I was like, she has such an amazing story. She needs to, she's a woman who lives with narcolepsy. She's a CEO in the tech industry. She's beat all odds. I mean, she's, as you'll read in her book, she's like, of course I had to become an entrepreneur. Like, who is going to hire someone who's always sleeping all the time? I have narcolepsy, right? So her book, Don't Snooze Your Dreams, Lessons from Life with Narcolepsy, she has built a signature keynote, and she travels all across North America. It's going to go global before you know it. And she goes and she talks to people about, pursuing their dreams and her 5-step dream process. So it's kind of like, hey, if I could do it, you can do it too. And literally, she's saving so much energy dollars too, because her book is literally just an extension of her keynote. So she had a dream of being on stages. She actually wrote that in her book. She tells her audience, hey, if you read this and this means something to you, like help me get on more stages. And that's exactly what's happening. People are opening up her book and being like, oh wow, okay, I'm going to introduce her to my organization. And on, International Day for Persons with Disabilities, like she spoke in front of a huge audience. And, I'm just so proud of her.
I love this so much. And we talk about this over and over again, that a book is going to serve as a lead gen for your business. Or if you want to, like Michelle, she has a dream of being on 100 stages. Just the fact that it's there, people are able to reshare it and to introduce her to other people who can help her with that, accomplish that, right?
Exactly. Like I always say, opportunities come from people. A book just helps get your idea out there in such a mainstream, like big way. Okay.
I love it.
So
Let's keep on going.
let's keep on going. Nadie, Labyrinth of Dreams. She's our first fiction author. She wrote this beautiful, heart wrenching story based on real life events. And she brought us this manuscript, and it was so well done. And I was like, Nadie, this is more than just a fiction book of someone just going to get lost in the story. Like there's a bigger story to be told here. I mean, the story of women's rights and women's reproductive rights, and the story of perceptions in family life. And I'm just so proud of Nadie. If you follow her on social media, she's using her voice for change. She's bringing up topics that have typically been silenced in the past. And I just want to say, like, Nadie, like, not only have you written a best-selling book and it sells across bookstores and you do so many great events, you are also being a voice for change because you're helping women. Like I'm also South Asian. Just really give them a voice and say that, you know what I mean? Like you really provide them like a chance for hope of kind of like, we need to really think differently about how family life and women's reproductive rights are thought about. So super proud of Nadie. Ellie. Ellie's a great story. I mean, Ellie had worked with a traditional publisher before for her first book, and she got like basically like zero support after the book was things. So she was like just completely blown away with the way we do things at Lucky Book. She's actually one of our publishing assistants now. So I love that she works with authors too to help bring their ideas to life. Ellie's book is truly spectacular. Like when I'm out at events and someone says, I just want to support your business. Like, which book should I buy? I say, pick up this book. Like this is a universal truth book. Ellie stays true to her identity. She is a spiritual coach. This book was downloaded to her. When I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, like this could be the next secret. And, I don't just say that lightly. It's very, very good. Ellie's won the International Book Impact Award. She's going to be receiving her award in Arizona. She's been on so many podcasts around the world. She was one of our authors actually who said, like, I don't have any friends. I don't have a following. Like, how am I going to sell a book? Well, she sold lots and lots of books, and she sold them to strangers. She even sells them in a mechanic's auto body shop, which is for another podcast. But like this woman is so
powerful. I love it so much.
Connie. Congratulations, Connie, The Force Within. Once again, also Connie's second book. She really wanted to work with a publisher and get that additional support. Connie is a professional choreographer. She's got an established business. She was very strategic. She came to us in the summertime. She knew that she was going to be producing a very popular musical this December, and she timed everything to be like, she finished that project and she launched her book, and she did such a good lead up that it just like she built her audience, she built the momentum, she became an instant bestseller. But not only that, like she just built such a powerful momentum. So I'm loving following Connie's book online. Like people are sending in pictures of them reading her book. They're sharing what they're learning from her. Connie truly is a luminary, and this book, The Force Within, like it's so gorgeous.
And look at the cover. Exactly. I was just gonna say, I'm like mesmerizing the cover. It's so beautiful. Very, very, very beautiful.
Yeah, I call this like a coffee table type book. Like it just looks so pretty, and get it on the thing. So that's good. Oh, Tara, Tara Shannon, love her. She is a multi-hyphenate. She's been in the music industry forever. So not only is she a songwriter, she's a music producer. She's an executive coach for musicians. This book is incredible. And she disrupted the industry because she said, listen, I don't want to just write another business book on music. I want to also take care of the person's soul and self care. So she's blended both worlds into this amazing book. I know that this book has now become part of required reading in college courses
I
in the
love it.
music industry. It's such an educational tool. When she goes to trade shows, she sells out, she speaks, she's very well known in her industry. So even myself, I mean, I'm not an aspiring musician, but just the steps of just how she talks about the business of music has definitely been relatable to like anyone who's an entrepreneur who wants to go after their dreams. All right. So next up, let's talk about Julie Butler. So, Julie is a digital marketer. She's amazing. If you look her up online, she's got tons of online programs and businesses. She turned her online course into a book. So this is another strategy similar to Terry. They both had established businesses, and she had a digital program. So her book, Brand Brilliance, is really a beautiful companion to her online course, which I love. And then Jake
Um,
is the giver method. I mean, he's been working on this idea for a while now, and he finally has it in book form. This guy's created over 1,000 YouTube videos on how to be a giver, how to figure out your superpowers. He's truly so amazing. So not only are you going to get his book, but you can go online and follow along. Like I've learned so much from Jake. Actually, I'm so clear now on how I want to serve the world
yeah.
because of this book. So I would say another must read for everybody is The Giver Method.
I love this, Samantha. And most of these authors already have an Audible. So I just want to touch base on that because Audible is the untapped secret, right? Like having an audiobook go along with your actual physical book goes a long way because there's no competition, right? There's no competition on Audible. With the right strategies, making sure everything is optimized with the right description and reviews on your book, you can just leave it and forget it. So can you just like walk us through and tap into this
I
a bit
love
more?
Audible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've definitely tapped into the Audible market. So, just for example, over 4 million books are published every year. I read a stat that said only 74,000 Audibles were published in 2022. So 4 million, 74,000. So if you're thinking about organic reach for your book and your audience, it's definitely going to be on Audible. So in this course and by working with
Yes.
Lucky Book Publishing, we always say, like, don't leave that on the table in terms of a product. So normally when we work with someone, we say you're going to get a paperback, a hardcover, an ebook, and an Audible. So I love getting into the Audible market. And what you said about set it and forget it is great. I mean, we haven't talked about royalties and the different ways you can, generate and, be revenue generating. But Audible is a great mailbox money, right? In terms of just books, like there's no ads. You just, as you said, if you set it up the right way, it just becomes, twice a year, you collect those royalty checks. And the reality is too, it's very accessible. So I think that's also very important. We want to make sure that we're inclusive. And I think that, there's some people that like, this is the only way they're going to consume your book is by Audible. So I love that we not only we show you how to do it in the right way, and you don't have to be a professional
No.
voiceover. We use voice actors, and that's perfectly fine. I would say most books out there are using voice actors, and that's great. But the most important part about it is back to your impact. Like, why did you write this book? How do you want to serve and help people? So Audible just gives you that extra, channel to truly help people, serve people, and get them to listen and consume your book.
I love this so much. So let's talk about people who have a full-time job, or maybe they have a very busy schedule like myself. I mean, I have 2 kids, right? So how do you recommend like balancing the course workload with their other responsibilities that they have?
Awesome. Well, our first book I wrote with a newborn, so 3 months old, no sleep.
Yeah.
So number one, fundamentally, is I think go through this course, like join us. So I think we've met many people. I can't tell you how many people have come through our office and said, I've had this book idea for 10 years plus. I'm like, okay, that's way too long. Like it should have been out a long time ago. Right. So the reality is there's always going to be an excuse of like, I'm too busy. This isn't the right time. That's why we started with books that are really bite sized. Like you don't need to start with a 30,000 word book to be your first book. I would say like start with a 5 to 10K. That's not going to, you could write that in a weekend with a solid book outline. Okay. So, and there's a reason why our course is only 4 weeks. I want you to give us your undivided attention for 4 weeks. Life happens. That's okay. If you miss some classes live and you want to redo it with the next cohort, that's perfectly fine. Like once you're part of our community, you're going to get so much support to get this done. So I want you to know that usually 80% of people who buy a course do not follow through. We have a very high success rate of our authors completing their book and getting it done. So I just want to say, like, come play with us in this playground. It's fun. We make this work bite size. Give us 4 weeks of your time, and you can have a published book at the end of it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so the debate between self-publishing versus traditional publishing is a common debate. So what insights will participants gain about choosing the best publishing path for their book? And I just want to add to that. You mentioned earlier about making sure you're, publishing your book with the right strategies. A lot of the authors that we've worked with have been published by a traditional publisher, but it didn't go the way that they expected, right? So let's talk more about that.
Well, that is the truth. The reality is the publishing world has been disrupted with hybrid publishers like us. They've been doing things for the certain way for a long, long time. The reality is you can go to a traditional publisher. Yes, they will, you might get accepted. And if you do, I mean, if you're one of their top 5% magical unicorns, they're going to invest a lot in you and put you in. But that's not the typical story, and that's the truth. I mean, they're likely going to do that with people who are celebrities or people who have like a really big following. Even people who tell you like, "Oh, I got a 6-figure book deal." The expectation is for you to reinvest that 6 figures like back into marketing, okay? So the reality is it's a lot of work to, you know what I mean, to become that New York Times bestseller, okay? So these things do not happen just because you go with a traditional publisher. So let's just be real about that. There's millions and millions of books that are published every year. The average sale is about 150 books in a year. So, you really, and as a first time author, like there's going to be some work to put in to like really like go over that curb. Okay. Self-publishing is such an exciting space. So in this course, you actually get to self-publish. So 100% of your royalties, 100% of your intellectual property, it's all owned by you. So imagine getting access to book publishers like Lucky Book Publishing, behind the curtains of everything we know about the publishing industry, how to get your book globally distributed, how to do Audible, how to optimize Amazon, which, still remains like 75% of the online sales of books still go on Amazon, how to get your book into local independent bookstores in your area, like all the things of book publishing that a normal traditional publisher would do for you, but you would only be seeing 9 to 11% of royalties. You can actually have full control of your business and your book business by self-publishing. So it's a very exciting space, but Lucky Book Publishing sits like somewhere in the middle. And I love it because we call ourselves hybrid publishers. And you're right, a lot of authors who've worked with traditional publishers come to us, and it's because they like the white glove service of what a traditional publisher can offer them, right? Like good quality editing, all of that, and like putting them through the distribution channels. But they kind of fell short on the marketing and the support and ongoing stuff. So I can't speak about other hybrid publishers, but that's our secret sauce in terms of Lucky Book Publishing. Like we are invested in making sure you're not just like one of those books who sells like under 150 copies. Like this is a long game. Like our authors work with us, weekly on an ongoing basis, like beyond the book launch. I would say the people who do really well, they keep showing up for our authors community calls. They're committed. They're looking at their campaigns. They're looking at a 12-month schedule. They're looking to add speaking engagements. And like I said, that's not for everyone. But if that's you, if you have a desire to, become like make an income from this, there are ways. It's so exciting. You could build courses, you could speak on stages. If it's about impact and getting in front of audiences, like opportunities come from people. There's like a whole group of authors right now who want to share their podcasts, who want to share their communities with you. Like it really is truly, truly incredible.
No, I absolutely love it. I love how a book can take you a long way, right? Even to places that you didn't expect you're going to go. I just love it. All right, so let's talk about tangible results. So, what tangible results can participants expect by the end of the 4 week? And how does that workshop set them up for long term success as authors?
I love that. Okay, so let's go back to some of these first books, okay? So these are all people who've done our class. And so the tangible result is this. Like, so I just want you to go to your bookshelf right now, go pick up a book and like be like, "Oh my gosh, like this could be my book." Like that's what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
tangible results, a beautifully published book. Like I said, it doesn't have to be 30,000 words. Write 5K, write 10K, get something published, put it out there, let it be something that you're proud of. Let this 4 week course lead you to a book in your hands.
And join our community.
Exactly.
Join our community.
That's it. So this is step one.
Yeah.
Step two is what's going to happen after you join the community. So like look at people like Terry. They show up all the time. You know, Terry's created online programs like live coaching groups. She's helped our authors. She's actually made money from our audience because people who write books want to be on TED Talk stages. So guess who they
Absolutely.
go to when there's an application that opens up? Like she trains and coaches them and takes care of them. So she's built a whole business around that. So the fun stuff happens after. And even someone, I mean, I'm going to go back to Shelly. I mean, Shelly wrote this book just for fun in our course. She
Yes.
said, hey, if I literally have notes on this in a recording that says, hey, if just my grandkids read this, I'm good. Well, Shelly has surpassed all of that. Fitnesswithshell.com, personal branding, and a most beautiful Instagram page. You know, she's doing a yin yoga class tonight online. She's got personal training clients. She's got clients from like, 30 years old to like 89 years old right now. Like she's just opened up, we talk about niches. She wrote the starter kit for women over 50. Like I always tell people, I'm like, niche down so much that it feels uncomfortable because you need to find your space. You have to find your space in a very loud, competitive book market. Like, I'm not here to sugarcoat that this is easy, but I'm here to tell you, like, it can be done and it's been done over and over again. But the fastest way to success is by doing it with other people. It's kind of like I used to be an event planner and I used to be a wedding planner. You can plan your wedding yourself. Or you can hire a wedding planner and they can help you like bring your ideas to life. They've done it dozens and dozens of times before. They're going to give you all their cheat codes. So I kind of look at it like that. Are you a person who just wants to learn everything from scratch and you have the time to do it? Great. Then YouTube, other books, they're great out there for you. But if you want to go far and you want to learn the cheat codes of people who are doing it and be part of a community, you're going to get there so much faster by joining our course and joining our community. So I just love it.
I love that you tapped into Shelley's book and, your ideal client. We talk about this a lot, like niching down and making sure you know who is your ideal client. And when you're writing the book, you're writing it to that one person. So who's your ideal client and write to that one person that by reading your book is going to change their lives, right?
Absolutely. Like, let's take, for example, Danielle Baker's book is coming out very soon, Bringing Up the World. She's wrote this incredible book about putting the child first in education system and, in parenting. Like when I read this book, I mean, I've got 4 boys, I've got 2 young boys at home. It just shook me like viscerally, like in my stomach. I was like, oh my gosh, like, it just made me feel like, wow, I have a lot to do. I have a lot more to do as a parent to be better, right? And then it also showed me that like I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? So, Danielle's she's a VIP client with ours right now. So this isn't just a book. Like this is like a movement.
Yes.
This is huge. So she's also going to New York City with us coming up soon. She's going on a billboard. She's going to be speaking in New York City, all the things, so when we worked with her as a VIP client, not only was it to help, she's a subject matter expert. She was writing her book. She was getting her primary research, all of that. In the meantime, Samar and I were mapping out a plan for her. Back to your audience avatar. We know very clearly that she's got 2 channels of how she can grow her book brand, okay? She's got the parents who want to be that better parent, who want to put the child first. And then she's got the education system and the growth, like the people in the education system that want to be growth minded, okay? So we've helped her build workshops, online classes, keynote speaking, like
Yeah.
amazing products that not only will you read her book, you'll have a chance to go to her website and see all of these things. Not to mention, she's been building content each and every week. She's an amazing podcast host. She talks about her topic all the time. She's really active on social media. So even while she was writing her book, she's been positioning herself. I mean, she's got people from India and Australia and all over the world, following her and just like so much anticipating this book. It's very, very exciting.
All right. I love this so much, Samantha. Now let's go take them like behind, like after they complete that 4 week course, life course, like what kind of support will they receive at Lucky Book Publishing? And I just want to mention again, one of the highlights of working with Lucky Book Publishing, I say it over and over, and you're going to keep on hearing me saying that, is that the community we've built is the highlight of Lucky Book Publishing. So I just love our community coming together every week. We used to do it twice a month. Now we're doing it every single week, Mondays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we come together. We're going to get on the marketing call with Samantha and I, and everybody is so supportive. I love our community. Please talk to us like more about that.
Exactly. Well, the reality is you're only getting started like once you write your book.
Yeah.
Okay. So I always say writing the book is actually only like 10% of the journey. So I know it feels like a lot, like, oh my goodness, how am I actually going to publish and write a book? You're going to do it. Okay. Like this is how we've built the 4 week course. But the reality is after the book is done, that's when the fun starts. And that's where you have Lucky Book. And I would say that this is where most publishers your journey usually ends, but in our world, you're just getting started. So we've built a community of incredible authors. Like I said, you have to decide to show up, but week after week, we are together. We are in community. We're talking about the latest book strategies, the latest changes that have happened in the publishing world. The reality is this is a very high movement industry. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to do this on your own, but the reality is like there's so many changes in the industry all the time and in the book publishing process that you kind of need an expert to kind of keep you going, or your book is going to not be optimized. It's going to kind of like disappear out there in the space. So because we've built this community in these weekly calls, this is your mentorship space. This is your community. This is where you're going to get all the cheat codes. So, Samar and I are like heavily invested in this. We do this all day long. You know what I mean? And the reality is we come with a wealth of experience. So before even we started Lucky Book Publishing, I mean, I was in the publicity entertainment world like my whole career. So, working with, big A-lister names, like I helped book tours of some really amazing authors like the late Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Elizabeth Gilbert. And little did I know that that would lead me here. So I've seen the industry. I've seen how people do it. I've met Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. You know what I mean? Little did I know that when I met him, then, 144 books later, like Chicken Soup would become such a big thing. But I learned from these people. And, what I love is that, people took chances. People like were learning to think differently. And I think that that's the heart of what Lucky Book Publishing is. Like, this isn't just like a flat line, like ABC publishing house. Like, we're consistently looking for like the best of the best ideas and talking to everyone and learning their cheat codes and trying to make an impact. I think that that's really what it is. Like, if you're someone who is heart-centered and you really want to make a difference in the world, like come to us. Like, this isn't just a business to us. Like, this is our everything. Like, and you'll hear our origin stories later of why we did this.
So talking about the ripple effect, we believe at Lucky Book Publishing, we're making a big impact into the world. So not only are we helping you publish your book and getting your message and your story out in the world, because we do believe every story matters and every story needs to be told, but that ripple effect that we've seen multiple times of people reading, picking up your book and making a difference into their lives. So that's like all what Lucky Book is about, to be honest with you. And
Exactly.
I just love it.
So imagine your book getting into the hands of a complete stranger, and from that one person, your life could be completely changed.
Yeah.
It's just like you just never know like who's going to read your book, and one, how you're going to make an impact on their life, or how they're going to make an impact on your life. So, we're in it to win it. Like I said, Guy Kawasaki, thank you for writing that book. Like 20 plus years later, it's such an inspiration. And so many others who've done it and created that momentum. It's shown us that that's how books should be done. Like, I don't want to see our authors just like be like one and done and it disappears into the abyss. Like, we have a system to make sure that you're in this for the long run to truly make an impact in the world.
And I love this so much. Talk to us, Samantha, about Elizabeth Gilbert, because you and I, we both met her, and she's an amazing, amazing person.
She's so amazing.
Talk to us about, what did she tell you? Like, what goes on behind the curtains?
Exactly. So, in my 20s, I read Eat, Pray, Love. It was an amazing book. I also watched the movie with Julia Roberts. Little did I know that 20 years later, I would be helping her with her Canadian book tour and traveling with her. And I asked her, I mean, by that time we had just started Lucky Book Publishing. And I said, Liz, tell me behind the scenes of a big five publishing house. Like, what are they doing that we're not doing? And she said, Sam, nothing. She's just like, you must understand that this industry needs to change and be better. She's like, traditional publishers, they pick a few people to like really invest a lot of money in and go all out, but what you're doing is you're democratizing the system. You're giving everyone a fair chance, including that first author. She's like, I wrote lots of books and stories that no one ever read. She's like, I even did the sequel for Eat, Pray, Love, and it didn't do nearly as well as the 13 million plus copies of the first one. She's like, you never know what the audience wants, but the number one thing to do is, one, get your book out there, let your audience decide. Number two, really be clear on who you're writing to. So one of the things we do in our course, we talk about the audience avatar and we go really deep on that. She's like, I wrote Eat, Pray, Love for my best friend. I wanted her to follow along with me in the journey of what I was going through after my divorce and during all my travels. And she's like, you know what? That really resonated with people.
Yeah.
And it resonated with, women all around the world and even some amazing men. And, she really showed me that, hey, like, I can do this too. Like, I can help make an impact in this world. So thank you, Liz.